So in the process of redoing my workshop, I came up with this phrase. I don't know how long ago. It's been a while. As you can see, the ink is kind of starting to fade there from the marker. But this is the phrase that I came up with, and I thought that as a quick project, I haven't played with my laser much lately, so I thought I would just let's get this inlaid into a thing and then make it into something I can actually put on the wall instead of just a piece of paper that's held on with magnets. So let's start doing that.
So I have a, piece of mahogany veneer loaded, and we're going to see if my original settings are going to work. It's been a while since I've done exactly this. So what I'm going to do is I need to draw a box, and so what we're doing, we're cutting out. I'm going to just do a 5 by 7. So I'm going to not that. Going to create a rectangle, and it is going to be my width. Let's see, my height is going to be 177.8, which is 7 inches, followed by, oops, I need to, it's not going to be symmetrical, so I need to unlock the aspect ratio. And then that one is 127. Okay, and I'm going to center that. So I put the mahogany in the middle of my sheet there. I have not done a test on this, so I could be wasting some material, but that is fine. Okay, so that is my material, and then I had done this before with different things, and my settings there were 92, speed of 9, and a pass of 1. So let's try those. So we're going to go with 92, speed is 9, and a pass of 1. I'm not going to set the kerf offset for this initial thing because we're going to actually reverse it. And I'll explain all that here in just a bit. And by the way, this is a cut, which now I got to do it all over again. I need 2, 9, and 1. 1 pass. Okay, I'm going to do that. And now we need to add our text. And I don't think this is xTool Studio. I apologize for not saying that up front. I cannot remember if they gave us the ability to do multiple lines. Probably not, but that's okay. Anyway, but you know what? First of all, I am going to move that to the red layer. I like my cut to be red. This is also going to be a cut. Also move that to the red. I'm right clicking if you didn't see that. And what was my phrase again? It was getting storage organized. Okay, so getting. Of course, that didn't work because I didn't do it right. Oops, there's another one. That is fine. Getting. Storage. I'm going to copy of that. Org and organized. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are going to take these 3 and we are going to align their center, which is not what I wanted. I'm going to align the horizontal center. There we go. And then I'm going to distribute these vertically, which didn't work. Let me just do it by hand. Of course, it's not what I wanted. Getting storage organized. That. Okay. Line. Okay, that's cool. That's interesting. I don't want that. Line vertically. Dang it. Line horizontally. Oops. There we go. Okay. So that is distributed pretty good. And I'm going to group these. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to select that one as well, and I'm going to align the centers so it's in the middle. Okay, so this is going to be the background. Now, one thing about using any text within any tool, no matter what it is figuring out what kind of font you want to use. This is Lato, whatever they call that. That is the default font for them. This is 72 points, which is an inch tall, which is fine. But the whole thing is there something prettier that we can use? So the way that fonts work within xTool Studio is they have a list of built-in fonts in the system, and then they have a list of fonts that are in the operating system that you're connected to that they can also pull from. So it's really and truly just how fancy do you want to make it? You could spend hours, if not days, trying to figure out what's going on here. Again, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of typefaces out there in the world. You just got to pick the one that you like. So I don't even know where to even start. I mean, that Lotto was probably just fine. They're in alphabetical order. I don't even know what to say about some of these. So let's, if all else fails, you can fall back to the to Arial, which is kind of safe. But what this one? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change that to engrave, just so I can see it better. Okay, we're not going to engrave it. We're actually going to cut it out. Okay. And as you see, it will change based on the font that you highlight. And again, you can spend days doing this. So this is built-in fonts. Oh, these are system fonts. So what do we have? We have document fonts, recommended fonts, and system fonts. So this is going to do, what is that? That's not too bad. ABZ, I like that. I kind of like that. Let's do that. Okay. So we picked this font. I don't like how close it is to the edge, so I'm going to drop this down to a 68. And then I'm going to highlight these two again. I'm going to align center. I guess that's fine. And then what I need to do, I need to put this back to cut. Okay, so we're going to do two operations here. The first off is we're cutting, this is the background. So we're cutting the shape out, which is the rectangle, and we're cutting the words out that will go, basically we're going to replace with the next cut, which will be a lighter material, in our case maple. Okay, so let's look at that. I think that's fine. Okay, so one of the things we're going to do with this, and this has to do with the way that lasers work and how you do inlay, is we are going to reflect this horizontally, which is going to reverse it. I don't want to do that. Hang on a second. Let me make sure that's what I wanted. Maybe it's reflect vertically. Nope, definitely not that. Reflect horizontally. Okay, so what this is going to do, it's going to cut out the shape in reverse. And then what we're going to do, we're actually going to use the other side as the front. And the reason we're doing this is the way that the lasers cut. So lasers cut in a cone, and they don't cut straight down. So they cut in a cone. That's kind of a measured thing. That's what that whole kerf offset thing is right here. And it allows you to determine how far apart things are. I'm going to just play with no kerf offset and see what happens. This is a 100% experiment. I have a project I never finished, and it is using a cow head. Believe it or not, I have no idea how I came up with this, but I did come up with this. So using two different materials, and so how you can, basically create an inlay or marquetry as it's commonly called. And so anyway, so what we're doing is we're reversing this. We'll use the other side, and then we're going to copy this and put a new piece of wood in, and we're just going to print it regular. And the idea is one is going to have the offset or the curve in one direction and one in the other direction, and it will fit together better. That is the theory. Okay, so do this again. 92, 9 and 1, 92, 9 and 1. So I have a size of 1.59 millimeters, which is what I think this is. Again, this was based on my previous experiments with this thing here. So we're going to go with this and see if it works. If it doesn't work, you may never see this part. But anyway, so let's go cut this out. So I'm going to process this. Safety reminder, it's going to take me 3 minutes. It's going to cut like that. That's great. I like that font. That's a nice little font. And then risk of incomplete due to cut through. Okay. We'll find out. Okay. Let's push the start button. And then it is at the printer. I need to go out and push the button. So I will come back when we get that all done.
So sorry for the absolute mess everywhere, but I'm still cleaning up stuff. Anyway, so here's what we ended up with. This is the back. So this is the front we cut out in reverse. This is the back. These are all the things that came out of that. So all the letters we do not need, but we do have to have a lot of the little holes, such as the inside of the E's and the G's and the A's and the O's. Anyway, so let's jump back over at the studio and we will cut out this thing in the opposite side and a different color, different material, which is this maple you see right behind it. And when it gets done, it's going to look pretty much just like that, except with filled in. So let's jump over there real quick.
So we're back in xTool Studio, and let's make a few changes here. First off, we are going to move this over, over here, out of the way, turn it to non-output. Oops, that's right, I grouped everything together. Okay, group, ungroup. You can do it. What's going on here? Why am I grouping that? It's so weird. Okay, no output. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we are going to take these three things and we are going to reflect them back horizontally. Oops, I guess we're reflect horizontally. Okay, you couldn't tell, and you sure can't tell from this camera, but this piece of maple that I'm using has a lot of figure on the edges. So from here to here, and then here to here, this is the center of the tree right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put these as close as I can to the edges so that the chatoyance from the figure will be caught. Like I said, it's really hard to see, even on camera. I'm not sure I'd be able to pick it up, but this is the center of the tree. The edge has the figure in it, and it's just like shiny stripes is what it is. I don't even know if I can pick it up here. Nah, it's just bland. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I am still cutting it out, and I'm just moving the stuff up so I can get as much of the pretty stuff as possible. And then this is the same here. Remember, so I apologize. I'm using the xTool M1 original. So this is the 10-watt laser, which cuts this stuff without a problem. Bigger lasers, later lasers like the M1 Ultra have higher wattages, and they can cut the stuff probably easier and better, but this is what I have. And so anyway, so this cuts stuff like this really, really simply. Okay, so that is still set, all good, and let's just push the button and go make it go. No design elements. That's because I think I accidentally turned all of them to non-output, which is what I did. Now that has been changed. Process this. Getting storage organized. Perfect. Start. And let me go push the button, and I'll rejoin you there.
There we go. So we have all our letters cut out. So let's take them out, and I'll show you mostly how it's going to be assembled. So I got a piece of 3 mil, whatever it is, birch or basswood or whatever. And so I will end up cutting this out to fit this 5x7 because it's going to need a backer because this is just not stable enough. So let's start putting these things in place and see how we end up. Okay, so I'm missing 2 dots. They're really small. They probably bounced, and when they were inside the laser, when they fell out, they bounced and they went somewhere I can't see. Anyway, that's really simple. I just need to reprint them or recut them again. But this is what it looks like. So not terribly excited about this, but you know what? It'll do. There's a bit more of a curve thing. Like I said, this is absolutely an art more than a science, I think, trying to figure out the curve, because again, if I had a piece of paper, like this, your laser does this, to my knowledge. That's where it cuts. So it cuts a triangle. And depending on how you have it set up, it does different things. So again, I didn't change the curve at all. And a lot of times when you reverse the cut, which is what I did on this substrate, it fits a bit together better. There's still a little bit of slop in here, but when I glue this together, the only people who are going to know that there is a little bit of slop is me and you. That's it. Nobody else is going to know this. They're going to see this piece of mahogany with this embedded figured maple, and they're like, oh, where'd you get that sign? Well, I made that sign. Anyway, so I'm very happy with this. We're just going to leave it like it is. So what I have to do now is I need to cut this out to put as a backer. And then what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cover this with blue tape to lock everything in place after I recut the eyes and get the dots out. And then that will give me everything I'm doing. And then I will put CA glue and glue everything together, glue that to that, and then I'll put a border on it and I'll put it back on my storage. So this is how I make little bitty sign things. Again, this is just for me. But it's a lot of fun. If you don't have a laser, you should get one. I started out with a laser and got a 3D printer later. They're both useful tools. I use the 3D printer way more than to use the laser, but just being able to do stuff like this is just absolutely amazing. Every time that I play with any of my tools that are like, I'm not going to say life-changing, but that's what it feels like. So anyway, so let me get this all put together, and we'll go back to, I've got a frame to put around it, so we'll do that next.
I think I'm going to put this sign right where the paper one is on my Milwaukee cabinet. So I need to do a test to see what it takes to engrave this stuff. So I'm going to turn this off and just going to move it out of the way. And then I am going to draw a circle. I'm going to draw it 8 millimeters. Actually, you know what? Let me do 8.25. And then what I'm going to do, I am going to do a materials test. Oh, before I do that, sorry. I need to turn this to engrave. And then I'm going to move it to green layer. And I'll do the materials test. And what do I want to do here? Power. I'll do a max of 90, a min of 70. So I don't want to do 100% because 100% will probably burn all the way through. So what I'm after here is I'm after a divot that I can glue the magnet into so it's partially inset into the plywood. And then what I'll do, I'll use that measurement. I'll take it back to this piece here that I cut out and use that to basically put like magnets at the corners and then glue them in, and that will stick it to the thing. So 70 to 90. That is, sorry, I'm checking everything. Speed. Yeah, we'll go with that. Okay. So I'm done. So I am going to process this, and I'll check back with you in a few minutes. Whoops.
So here are the results of the test. As you can see, it did pretty well at the 90 mark. So speed of 90, power of 90. I went and manually added a 100 power at 90 speed. And then I did same 100 power, 90 speed, 2 passes. and that's the one that looks like it's going to work. So if I put my magnet, this is just a standard thin 8mm magnet. If I can glue that in there, that should fit just about perfect. So again, when you're doing material tests, especially when you get into the 100% range on power, it's very important you do not walk away from the laser. I have almost burned my laser up by doing so with an unknown material, even though I have cut and engraved hundreds of pieces of plywood. I just haven't done this specific kind of plywood because I don't know where I got this, to be quite honest. So anyway, but yes, very important. I literally just about melted the inside of my laser because I caught something on fire because I didn't think it was a big deal, and it was. So anyway, just keep that in mind. So that's what I'm going for. 100 power, 90 speed, 2 passes. Then I'll put 4 of them in the corners, and that'll be that. So let's get that going. I was going to put a border on that, like a frame. I don't think it needs it. I think that looks great. So, hey, another simple project from the shop. Thanks for watching, everybody.